it's Jared back with another video here today on TatorTalks. I hope everyone is having a wonderful Tuesday evening and is enjoying the great weather. If you're getting some great weather here today, I know we are in West Virginia. So I am here with a brand new series that I'm starting called the Mental Health Series. I'm not sure exactly how long how many episodes I'm going to be putting in to the actual series yet. That all just depends on if you guys like it and enjoy the content. But I wanted to try it out because I knew that in my Let's Talk Mental Health series that you guys really enjoyed that. So I'm going to give it a try here and see if any of my experiences might assist someone that I can reach out to. So we'll go ahead and start in and dive right in. Remember, subscribe if you haven't already and hit that bell if you want to get some content rolling as soon as I drop content, and it'll notify your phone or your computer. So you can hit that bell and get that if you choose to do so. And thank you guys for the support. I really appreciate it. We've got to 46 subscribers so far. We're 4 away from the actual goal of 50. So great job, guys, and thank you for all the support, and I hope that I'm benefiting you guys as much as you will benefit me and help me and keep me on track and want to do my videos. So let's go ahead and jump in. So today's topic is going to be, what is mental health and why is it important? I have a few different topics I really want to talk about in this video. Mental health, we'll talk about what mental health is and, mental illness, things like that. So we'll go ahead and talk about what is mental health. That's something that, can have a lot of different answers. I'm sure that you guys have heard all the different answers. But mental health is an array of things. Mental health is just mental health. You can have poor mental health days where you're just not feeling great mentally. And you can have days where you are being affected by, depression or anxiety if you have one of those mental illnesses. So mental health and the mental illnesses that occur with the mental health aspect of things can affect your emotional well-being, your psychological well-being, and your social well-being. These are all things that can be affected pretty badly if you are having a day where you're just down in the dumps. So to talk a little bit about these and why they're significant, we'll start with the number one, and I think is number one for a lot of people, which is the emotional aspect. The emotional aspect can get very, very exhausting. The mental aspect is, for me anyways, it was very tedious, and it just seemed like it was never going to end. Those of you who have been watching me for a while know that I got out of a mental health issue that I was having just recently. So that's what's kind of made me want to talk to you guys and kind of open up some of my perspectives and see if there's anything that we can do to help you guys. But emotional, the emotional aspect is when you just feel like you can't do anything. You wake up, you don't feel productive, you can't get up, take a shower, make yourself breakfast. You feel like you hardly can do your everyday life. And that can be on different severities. You can have just a day where you're just, I hate that I had to do this, but it is what it is. But then you might have a day where if you're struggling with something like depression or anxiety where you physically cannot do it. I had days like that, and I associated certain things with issues that were going on in my head, which made it almost physically impossible for me to be able to function and do what I needed to do. And that's something that can really affect your life. That can affect your money flow in your household. It can affect relationships. It can affect yourself even physically. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get into the why is it important stage of this video. But that is the main thing about emotional. Psychological can be a lot worse as well. Psychological is when you start going into the ideations. It's where you're not thinking clearly. You are not thinking how you generally would. Your brain is not functioning how it generally would. There's a lot of different cases where this can be a very, very bad situation. And if you're in this situation where you need to call and try and seek some help, really you need to seek help even if you're having, a poor emotional day or something like that. But, the psychological aspect can get dangerous. So that is a really important part of mental health, and why it is important to try and keep that as healthy and as, good as possible. So that's a little bit on psychological. Another thing that it can affect is social well-being. The social well-being aspect is not as important, in my opinion, but it's still, for me even, if you start losing friends, not really losing friends, but just drifting away, not really making plans, not really doing anything, which is already hard to do right now with COVID-19. But if you don't have that everyday interaction, I know a lot of us working from home have also lost a lot of that interaction with coworkers. That can be draining, very draining, and that just makes you feel like you really have no support system. So all of those are important. It can affect how people think and feel as well as how they act. So if you see someone, they might be overly agitated that day. They might just have a really, really, really poor attitude of the day. And it's not your fault. It's not the people that, they're talking to's fault. It's just something that they are struggling with. It's something that they are being affected with. And it can range in severities from the poor mental health days to the mental illnesses, and, cause bigger impacts and bigger things like that. So, it can affect the way they act, feel and respond to different people. And that's something you kind of want to keep an eye on with your friends. If you notice that they start acting weirdly around you or kind of distancing themselves, that's when you really need to step in and try and see, if there's anything that you can do. Obviously, friends and people like that can only do so much, but still it's nice to make sure that they know that they have a support system. So that's a big thing. It also affects how we handle stress in our daily lives, as well as how we relate to others, and how we make healthy choices. And that's all kind of, I guess a given from, how they feel and act and things like that. But it can really have some poor setbacks if you let it. You get really stressed out. Stress can cause a lot of additional health issues. Healthy choices in your life, whereas you might want to make a healthy meal for dinner, you might just go out and settle with a McDonald's quarter pounder or something like that. And it also affects, of course, that, feeling of being able to relate to others. And that can sometimes hurt relationships, especially if you're in a long-term, stable relationship with a significant other. And that's something that I was having issues with. I never had issues with my relationship, but there was getting to be a point where I was having issues mentally, and it was causing me to lash out, and my girlfriend, had to hear my, gloating and everything like that, and that caused her to be stressed and things like that, and it really doesn't help in a relationship. So these are all things that are very important, things that you really need to look into and kind of evaluate. Mental health also doesn't, it doesn't choose whether or not, you're an older person. It doesn't matter if you're old, it doesn't matter if you're young, it doesn't matter if you're middle-aged. It can affect anyone. It can affect people as young as babies, and it can affect people as old as, the oldest person on this earth. And that's the biggest thing, is that you never know who, children, sometimes we overlook that sometimes. I feel like sometimes that's overlooked, and children go through the same stuff as us, maybe not as in depth, but of course they're going to be dealing with their own issues with school and friends and things like that. And it's something that everything in every age group should be taken seriously. So that's kind of what mental health is. Mental health is it's a vicious circle. Each contributing factor comes back around, and it just keeps on in a vicious circle. So that's a little bit about what mental health is. Now, why is it important? Not only does it affect the way you think and can affect things with your, you know, psyche and things like that, it can also affect your physical health. And that's what I was talking about a little bit previously, is that with mental illness and mental sickness and, you know, mental health, that can affect your physical attributes. That can affect, you know, high blood pressure. It can affect, you know, things like weight gain, weight loss, just a lot of different things, and that can lead to bigger things such as type 2 diabetes, stroke, you know, heart disease, things like that. And it's just, you know, it hurts you mentally, but in the long term, it can also hurt you physically really bad. So that's why you might want to get a handle on it, you know, and try and look at options to, you know, help ease your symptoms and things like that, and try to build that support group, you know, because it's very important to have a support group. And as I've said before, you know, it could be anyone, myself included. I'm here for all my subscribers. You know, I don't have a huge subscriber base right now, so anyone who would ever need to reach out, I'm more than happy to always talk. So if you're in a situation of mental health, you know, crisis or something like that, and you need someone who's unbiased and just, you know, needs to listen, I'm here. But these things, you know, they're all long lasting. It can cause issues for years to come, and that's something that I think that most people would like to avoid. So I'm hoping that maybe in this series, I might be able to help some people along the way and hopefully give them some better coping skills and things like that, and also an extra helping hand. So with that being said here, I'm going to go ahead and finish up my first video here. And, you know, I just want to thank everyone for tuning in. And if you guys like this, definitely smash that like button. Drop a comment and let me know. And in next week's episode, I'll be talking a little bit more about specifics of mental health and, you know, mental illness, and, you know, specific illnesses and specific, you know, days and things like that, and what you can do to try and assist and fix that. So with that being said, I hope that everyone has a great rest of their evening, enjoys the rest of this weather that we get today before it gets a little cooler. And as always, I'll see you all in the next video, and I look forward to talking and hopefully giving you all some great advice. You all have a good one. Bye, guys.